what's going on? Thursday, it's not even a Saturday, and we're here talking about Final Cut Pro. Now, we've got a few things to discuss, let alone what they're doing with the naming convention of Final Cut Pro. And we're going to talk about that because I have some specific ideas, and we might even get a phone call explaining exactly what's going on with the naming convention, because it's highly unusual. The Final Cut Pro team is messing with us. That's exactly what they're doing. Final Cut Pro 11.1, which is little over 5 months to a full number update from 11.0, which we got in November, to 11.1 in March, which, if you've been watching on Saturdays, we've been talking about an update to Final Cut Pro in time for NAB. What has happened? It's come out just in time for NAB to create a little bit of buzz at NAB. There's still no Final Cut Pro events, 0 Final Cut Pro related events at NAB that I know of. If you know of one, let me know. Our friend Alista, hello from Jamaica. YouTube is 7 seconds ahead of X. That's very interesting. Time to make backups. Number one thing that you want to do before you press that update button. Before you press the update button. This one. Where is it? Before you press the update button to 11.1. Back up your current copy of Final Cut Pro. I don't want to say it twice. Back up your current copy of Final Cut Pro. All right, before you update, before you press the update button, 11.1. So what are your ideas as to what's going on with the naming convention of Final Cut? There's a couple of things that we're going to discuss, but I'm going to get your ideas first. What do you think they jumped from 11.0 to 11.1 in little over almost 6 months? What's your ideas? Well, let's take a look in the backyard and see what's going on there. Look at that. Beautiful blue skies out there. Beautiful blue skies. So let me do this. There we go. Put my frame back in. Looks like there are new features. There indeed are new features, which is the reason that they went to 11.1. That's exactly why they went to 11.1. Can you think of any other reason why they went to 11.1? Does anybody have any ideas? Let's see what we got right now. We have it's interesting. Mostly people are watching on YouTube and then Facebook and then X, good old X platform. So, we'll go over the feature lists in a few minutes, but let's talk about the naming convention first. Let's talk about that first, okay? Hello. Yes, absolutely. We have some questions. We're live on the air. I'm not going to tell anybody who this is. Don't worry about that. I never do. I never have said who this is that calls on this phone. So why 11.1? Why 11.1? 5.5 months, 6 months after 11.0, when Logic took an entire year. Did they take a year? Yeah, Logic went to 11 last year and 11.1 in November at the Creative Summit. 1 year for Logic. 1 year. This update is 11.1 in 6 months. I think that's the fastest. Full point update for Final Cut Pro that we've ever seen. Now tell me what. Oh, is that the reason? That's the reason that you went from 11.0 to 11.1. Let me pull that up. Over here first. You're telling me, let's do this. So you're telling me that the reason you went to 11.1 was because you're telling us right there, 11.2 is for the Creative Summit in November. And you didn't want the feature update to be 11.0.2, which is kind of like, mamby-pamby. You're telling us, you've been telling us all along that 11.2 is coming out at the Creative Summit. And you're smiling. And you're smiling. You've been telling us all along that 11.2 is going to be at the Creative Summit, and between now and then, 11.1 was going to come out. Very, very, very cool. Anyway, I'm glad it's here. Yes, you did tell us 11.2 is coming at the Creative Summit, not 11.1. Yes, I see that now. I didn't see that for the last couple of weeks, although I am glad that you have an update in time for NAB. Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely correct. That's exactly correct. I completely understand. And of course, I won't say anything. I never say who this is that calls in. Never. All right, I'm going to get back to the live stream. And call in anytime. Call in anytime that you would like. So 11.2 is going to be at the Creative Summit. That'll be the next update, the big update with features. Very interesting that you put 11.1 out before NAB, which is what we've been talking about for weeks on the show. Excellent. We always enjoy talking to you all the time. Everybody enjoys when you come on the phone, when you call on the phone. So very good. Okay. I'll talk to you later, Tim. Thanks for calling in. I'm not going to say who that was. Let's go back to our comments. Because you had to update the library. Absolutely. The library has to be updated from 11.0 to 11.1. I updated, backed up first, back up your copy of Final Cut Pro, then update to the newest version. Did my backup and update? Some of the new features are not yet available in the EU. We need the 15.4 update to get Image Playground added to Final Cut Pro. I think 15.2. You mean Mac OS. I am finally seeing more hope for Final Cut Pro. I just commented this morning that one of the things that Final Cut Pro is not doing is they're not updating as often as the users would like. And here they do come out and put out an update to the same day. Image Playground integration in Final Cut Pro really shows the need for an alpha layer in image playgrounds. Excellent point, instead of keying out. Does not deserve a 0.1 designation. Most of the features are just things that should have been built in from the beginning. Adjustment layers, movable markers, these are closer to bug fixes. Yes, but they are new features to Final Cut Pro, and they didn't, we just talked to them. They didn't want to put out a feature update as 11.0.2. It's just kind of a weak name. So they said, let's jump to 11.1. We'll mess with Final Cut TV's audience, and we'll give 11.2, as Tim has shown us, at the Creative Summit, which will be another feature update. Scott, not according to Dylan Bates, he really thinks the built-in adjustment layer does improve adding effects to multiple clips. Thanks for the call-in, Tim. I didn't say who it was, did I? I think one reason I like Final Cut Pro is the seemingly random features that include any updates. You and me both, Eric. You and me both. For a big update, I'd like to see text-based editing. I'd like to see a roles-based mixer, but this is fine. We've been talking about it since the first of the year for many weeks. Two things. Number one, a feature update. Number two, an update before NAB to create some buzz at NAB. Now, they did exactly that, which we've been talking about. The only thing difference is instead of 11.0.2 or 11.0.3, they jumped right to 11.1. He explained that. They didn't want a feature update with 11.0.2, and they want to do 11.2 at the Creative Summit in November, which will have more features. Very, very cool. I'll keep an open mind if the built-in adjustment layers offers functionality beyond third-party. Roll your own adjustment layers. Absolutely. Yes, but I mean Mac OS, but in the EU will not get the Apple Intelligence features I see until 15.2. We got it here in 15.2. Gotcha. And 15.2, 15.4. Absolutely. Let's do this. Let me see here. So here is the new version of Final Cut. Here's the new version. Little video I did for the first day of spring. And let's see, where is that? Thank you, thank you. Under the edit menu. That's the adjustment. Add adjustment clip is under the edit menu now. Okay. Here is Image Playground. Describe an image. Let's see. Springtime Bell. Why can't it? Let's do. Why isn't it letting me do anything? Here we go. Huh. It's not letting me. Let's do beanie, artist, sweatband, fireworks. And you can go to different versions of that with the arrows. They have a few versions. let's go with, astronauts. Since we rescued, we can't do that. Let's find, I asked, let's do mountains. Let's do lighthouse. There we go. There we go. So we just rescued the astronauts this past week, or I shouldn't say we. X did. Elon Musk's SpaceX rescued the astronauts after being up there for a while. So we'll just cancel that. So that's available in the import here, Image Playground. But that's going to be fun to play with, for sure. Let's do this. The other things are, let's go off of that. They have a bunch of new titles under Dynamic. Dynamic titles, there's a bunch of new titles. I forget how many there are. Whole bunch of new titles over there. There's new headline text. Very cool. I like it when they add titles, personally. I like having a lot of titles, so that's pretty cool. And they're all adjustable. There's also new transitions, dynamic transitions. There's a few more of those. And I thought there were something to do with color. I think there's more color. There's the old colorize. There's a bunch of those that have been added. Those are nuts and bolts kinds of things. There's also been an improvement to the tracking, the masking and tracking. It's much better, much faster, I believe. It's what I've read. Now, they have a couple people. Let's do this, put some more. So I agree with you. I think one reason Electronica Pro is the seemingly random features they include in the updates. It keeps me guessing. It does indeed, because they don't, well, we'll see what happens. Once again, Tim Cook said 11.2 at the Creative, somebody said 11.2 at the Creative Summit in 6 months. If there is a Creative Summit, at this rate, Final Cut 12 in 5 years. Now, I asked the Final Cut Pro team at the Creative Summit, I said, so when 10.0 came out, somebody at Apple said, this is our roadmap for the next 10 years. Well, they didn't say roadmap. They said, this is our something for the next 10 years. I said, since 11.0 came out, is there a similar type of a roadmap that you're going to adhere to? And they said, oh, it's much better than that. Our roadmap is much better than 10 years. So we'll see. I'll see if my recent crashes copying clips with captions attached still exist on 11.1. It would be cool if they included a new superscript next to the new features and EFX extensions that would disappear in a month or so. I agree. You have to go hunting for them. You have to go hunting for them. Let's go over here. So there it is in the App Store. Here is what's new in Final Cut Pro. So adjustment clips, they call them, not adjustment layers. That is a distinction that they brought up. Thank you for the thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe over there. Image Playground integration. Image Playground integration. Magnetic mask enhancements. Speed up your magnetic mask workflows with important bug fixes, performance improvements, and a new keyboard shortcut to show or hide the magnetic mask editor. This is one, it's been in the top list for 10 years. Movable markers in the timeline by dragging them left or right in a clip. Rename audio effects in the inspector. Very cool. Reveal the source of a multicam angle or a synced clip in the browser, and more. And more. Interestingly, I find this curious. So let's go over here first, and I'll add a marker. Now, I add markers to a title clip, and the reason I do that, because I can move this marker anywhere I want. I can move this marker anywhere I want. I don't have to be stopped by the limits of a clip. So this marker, I can only go there. I can't go past, and I can only go there, and I can't go past, because these are clip markers. These are not sequence markers or timeline markers. They are clip markers. So I add markers to a title, a blank title. You can add it to anything that you would like. And you can move it anywhere you want in the timeline. I don't know why they don't have timeline markers after all this time. It's a little frustrating. But the clip marker can only go to the boundaries of the clip. Can't take it past. But my marker, I can put anywhere I want. Anywhere I want in the timeline. Thank you very much. I just used Image Playground for my latest Final Cut Pro project that'll come in handy. Absolutely, I can see using that. It's very cool they integrate it in Final Cut Pro. Now, let me just go over there and check something. I don't think they have this yet. Well, I don't have a clip, but I don't think they've still added the audio effects from the iPhone 16 Pro Max, which I think it's curious. It's been 6 months and they haven't added that in Final Cut Pro, but it's available in the Photos app. I think Apple should buy Motion VFX. I think Apple's doing pretty good on their own as far as effects goes. I think they should buy Lumberjack text-based editing from Philip and Greg and incorporate text-based editing inside of Final Cut. That's one of the biggest features that I would like to see. That and a mixing console, roll space mixing. Now here's the curious thing. Let me see. Here we go. Not that. That's not the curious thing. Why is it doing this? Let me see. Oh, I know why. Let's go with here. The newsroom on Apple's site does not have the update, 11.1 update for the latest news, unless they've done it just in the last 10 minutes. Nope. Latest news is how the mind-blowing splitting world of Severance comes together on a Mac. Yeah, but that was Avid. That wasn't Final Cut Pro. You don't think that Final Cut Pro 11.1 deserves a mention in Apple News? You don't think that deserves a mention? 11.1, a new features in Final Cut Pro deserves a mention in the newsroom? I do. Let's bump this latest news down a bit since Avid was used on Severance. Not that big a deal. It's not that big a deal, but just something that I noticed. There we go. I got to pull that up. There we go. Having a coffee. It's late in the afternoon for me, but it is nice outside. It's very nice. What's going on in the backyard? It is windy. It is a little bit cool for springtime, but you can see the skies are blue. Very, very blue. Oh, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do this. I wanted to add that little ring back. So what do you think about, we have 60, 70 people watching live, maybe 100, I can't tell. What do you think about the update? Well, here's a couple of things. It's not a giant update, but it is a feature update. And I was curious if they were going to put a feature update. I thought, well, the next, let me see, they're 11.0.1. So the next logical numbering system would be 11.0.2, but that's an odd number for a feature update. So I expected a feature update. We've been talking about it for weeks, for months, talking about it in the feature update after 11.0.1 came out. And I said, Apple, do it before NAB. Create a little bit of buzz. It's free advertising. You're leaving money on the table if you don't do that. Well, they listened. What can you say? They listened. They listened. I'm going to change this around. Let me go over here and look at this. There we go. So they did listen to that part. They did listen to getting it out before NAB. NAB is in a couple of weeks. But I don't know of any single Final Cut Pro event at NAB. I haven't seen a single one. I absolutely agree, Eric. Don't underestimate making magnetic mask even better. That's great. That's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic. Text-based editing might be a 12.0 worthy feature. No, I think we'll see it before that. I mean, they've had text-based editing in DaVinci Resolve, Premiere, Avid. They've had it for 2 years now. So I hoping 10.11.2 in November. Now, I haven't heard anything about the Creative Summit yet. And I'll know some things behind the scenes. After NAB is when the activity of the Creative Summit gets into high motion. After NAB, because Future Media Conferences is completely absorbed with NAB coming up in a week from next week. No, a week from this weekend. It's coming up. Now, I haven't seen much happening at NAB that I'm interested in. I'm interested in Final Cut Pro stuff. I'm interested in Super Meet. I'm interested in, like last year, Strata, Michael Cioni's company had a nice party on Saturday night for everybody. I'm interested in a Faster Together stage when it's like the Super Meet stage. Well, none of those things are happening at NAB this year. There's no Final Cut Pro events. There's no Strata parties. Michael Cioni's not having a party this year. There is no Super Meet. Haven't been a Super Meet for years. There's no Faster Together stage. So it's not that exciting to me this year. It's just not. I don't see any motivation to go there. I'm always hopeful, but it's not happened. Curious indeed that Apple News shows Media Composer. Why not Final Cut? You would think a brand new version of Final Cut would warrant News 11.1, not just a bug fix, would warrant being on the news page. Eric says he's interested in Nikon Red News, new glass maybe. I'm interested in a lot of things at NAB, but you can watch it all online. You don't have to be there in person. That's my point. The Final Cut Pro Guru gatherings that Steve Martin put on for years, that was the reason I would go to NAB. Super Meets, that was the reason I'd go to NAB. It's these in-person events centered around Final Cut Pro that made me want to go to NAB. Well, there's a giant vacuum at NAB with anything Final Cut Pro related. This will help a little bit because people might be talking about it, a buzz, and I absolutely appreciate that. But there's still no super meet. There's no Strata party. There's no Faster Together stage. There's no Final Cut Pro events like the Final Cut Pro team had in 2017 and 2018. But everything else, I am interested in Blackmagic Design. The issue is Blackmagic Design will show all their new products a week before NAB on their YouTube channel. They'll do a live stream probably next week and show a lot of their products at NAB on their live stream. So seeing that in person is cool. I got to interview Grant Petty last year, but everything else, Nikon Red news, new glass maybe, you can watch it online. You don't have to be in person to see Nikon Red products. You can watch it online. The in-person things I'm talking about is friends, Final Cut Pro enthusiasts, all getting together. Even at a super meet, there was a lot of Final Cut Pro people that would get together, and we'd have lunch and we'd talk about things, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, as we've been talking about for months, literally February, March, a feature update to Final Cut Pro before NAB. It's exactly what has happened. And the only thing that we didn't get was instead of 11.0.2 or 3, they jumped right to 11.1 because it's a feature update. So is that the new deal? If it has some features, you're going to go to a full number? Well, we'll see. I think 11.2 is very viable. If there is a Creative Summit in November, hoping that 11.2, we'll see 11.2 there, which will be fine. And that'll have some more features. So they should, it's been 5 months since the last feature update. They should indeed have new features for us. So there's a couple of videos out. I've been out on the web. Dylan Bates, our friend, Final Cut Bro, has a new Final Cut Pro 11.1 features. And of course, our friends Steve Martin and Mark Spencer have one as well. You know, when I first saw that, there was 11.1, and I said, wait a minute, is it April 1st? Is this an April the Fool's gag? No, it's not. It came out. Probably shouldn't read any method to the update number of madness. They do what feels right to them. I'm basing that on the past. Logic took 1 year to go from 11.0 to 11.1. Typically, it's a full year between a point number update. This one is the first one that's broken that rule. It's less than 6 months, from 11.0 to 11.1. The numbers don't mean anything. They throw numbers. Here's some numbers in a hat. Throw them on the ground. Let's pick one up. So the numbering system doesn't mean anything. What means something is, as we've been talking about, getting a feature update out before NAB. That is what we've been talking about for months. Getting a feature update out before NAB. They just didn't want to put out a feature update and have it 11.0.2, which is kind of a boring number. So they said, nah, let's do 11.1. Plus, we'll mess with all of Richard's live viewers. We'll completely scramble everything up, the numbering system. Doesn't mean anything. 3 Pro App updates on a Monday. Logic Pro 11.1.01, 11.1.02, both came out on a Monday. Final Cut Pro 11.0.1 came out on a Monday. Now today, it comes out on the Thursday, which is the most popular day of the week for Final Cut Pro updates. So let's hear some more of your comments. That's what we have the live show for, is more of your comments, please. $11.1. Who would have thought? Let's give them a round of applause for that. Absolutely, they deserve it. They've been working. This is finally, they're getting back on schedule. Now, the next question is, if there is going to be a Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, which I presume there is, which is about, let me see, 8 months? 8 months from now, I guess, right? About 8 months. Are we going to see another Final Cut Pro feature update between now and 8 months from now? Very possibly. Very, very possibly. The audio plugin is great too. Lots of uses for it. They previewed that plugin at the Creative Summit for Logic Pro. So Logic Pro's had it since 11.1. Well, now Final Cut Pro has it with 11.1. But they previewed that. They did a long preview at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit for Logic. The Final Cut, the Pro Apps team did. They did a long preview, and that was one of the main features, was that brand new reverb, which looks absolutely first class. And it sounds really, really good. Any ideas why not any user events that show at NAB other than by Apple? I don't know specifically, but I know people that used to put on Final Cut Pro events were frustrated putting on the events at NAB. A lot of times they had to pay for it. Sometimes Apple helped financially, sometimes they didn't. And the people that used to put on events at NAB said, we're not going to do it anymore. We're not going to do Faster Together. We're not going to do the Final Cut Pro Guru Gathering. We're not going to do the actual stuff because we're not getting enough support from Apple to do these events. This is really Apple's responsibility. So do I absolutely care that Apple's not at NAB? Somewhat, yeah. Because if they were going to be there, and they would have announced it back in February, I don't mean behind the scenes. I don't mean talking to developers. That's not what I'm talking about. Public-facing Final Cut Pro promotional events with the Final Cut Pro team. That's what I'm talking about. I would like that to happen at NAB, and I'd like to happen, obviously, the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. The Creative Summit has always been my favorite event of the year. That's the one I look most forward to. All the events, the whole 3 or 4 days are all Final Cut Pro and motion related. All the people come from around the world, from Australia, from England, Europe, other places, and the United States. And we all get together and have a great, great time for 3 or 4 days. Now, I just made a third copy of my Final Cut Pro Creative Summit 2024 data. 1.7 terabytes of data. 1.7 terabytes of data. I've made a third copy today because I was looking for something specifically. 1.7 terabytes of data. The majority of that was on my phone, my iPhone 16 Pro Max. Some was on my Lumix S5 Mark IIX. But 1.7 terabytes of data. You haven't seen most of that. I recorded the entire Fitness Plus presentation, which was fascinating. I recorded the entire Michael Cioni's Strata presentation, but they did their own version with high quality cameras and everything. So they have their own version out, but I have a different angle and different take of that. and some other things that I recorded, some behind the scenes, the live event that they had with all the vendors, the expo night, I have that live streaming. So as we get closer to the Creative Summit, after the summer's over, I'll put together some more of those videos. I might put together the numbers, the Fitness Plus, some of that video out prior, because that is kind of independent of the Creative Summit. Some of the stuff is Creative Summit specific. How do you know they did that preview? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Glad to see Final Cut Pro team are making adjustments. Well, the adjustment layer. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Oh, here you go. Now you know why they did that preview. Well, it makes more sense in Logic Pro for that reverb. It's a fantastic reverb. It obviously was developed for Logic. That's why it's been in Logic for 6 months. It's an audio effect. It's superb. I don't recall the Pro Apps team modeling a classic plugin of hardware of any sort in the past. Logic's has some. This thing is superb. This thing is absolutely superb. Adjustment clip finally lets me do role-based effects. Okay. There's some more things. I mean, I would love to have adjustable track heights, lane heights, roll heights, instead of they're all the same or they're all this way with the exception of some titles. I don't like those big bulbous things when they don't have to be. Fitness Plus using Final Cut Pro 11 at NAB and FMC showing Final Cut Pro 11. So here's the Fitness Plus using Final Cut Pro 11 at NAB. Fitness Plus, they're not going to, the whole team, I was amazed at how big that was. I was absolutely amazed at how big the Final Cut Fitness Plus team was. Let me just do one thing here. But they did YouTube main. They did an amazing presentation. Oh, they got to verify it's me, really? Got a touch ID. Here we go. Verify it's me. I'm not sure where they got to verify it's me. I've already been there. Let's go over here and look at this real quick. And we will see, let me see here, me plus screen. There we go. We'll get back to the Final Cut Pro. Here we go. Huh. Let's try another one. Well, that's interesting. Oh, you know what? Let's do this. Oh, here we go. Let's do this. Oh, that's not the right one. What about this one? There we go. So Final Cut Pro by the numbers. This is the video that I recorded from the Creative Summit. Just watch this a second. Let me see. All system audio. Let's do Safari.
Fitness Plus generates a grand total of around 150 hours of 4K UHD video every week. Broken down, that's 120 hours of line cut and ISO camera raw media, 20 hours of just work in progress editorial, and then finally 13 to 14 hours of finished media. As mentioned many times, that finished media is made up of 35 plus workouts and meditations that we deliver every single week. With an average of 9 bespoke assets per workout and meditation, which include the workout, preview, and thumbnail, among other assets, that's over 58,000 assets delivered to the digital supply chain, social media, and other partners. And that's just after 4 years. And we delivered, I didn't know this file size this existed, 3 petabytes of finished media and archive data each year. Staggering. To date, we have created over 9,000 projects in our production asset management system. And all its efficiency and our workflow has yielded a less than 0.02% rejection rate for final content. But all this wouldn't be possible without the incredibly talented team that we have at the studio. What you see here is about probably half of the people that come into the studio every day to work on the content. And it's really only about 10% of those who work on the service overall at Avid. We are just 4 years into producing the Fitness Plus content with Final Cut Pro. And it has not only been intuitive, stable, and high-performing NLE, but has been a key component to our metadata workflow so we can maintain a high level of quality at scale. And that's what makes Final Cut Pro and the Apple ecosystem the heart of Fitness Plus. Thank you.
Now, I recorded their entire presentation. I recorded both with my iPhone 16 and my Lumix S5 Mark II-X. And I actually got a new lens specifically for the Creative Summit when I go there. If they have it in November again, which I hope they will, and I will bring my Lumix S5 Mark II-X for these presentations. I don't use it in the halls, and I don't use it. I just specifically want to get a higher quality version of some of these presentations because they're really good. Fitness Plus was an excellent, excellent presentation. So was Michael Cione. He did a great 90 minutes. He was like the keynote first presentation. He did a great job. Why are people still using Avid Media Composer? You know how big of a deal they could have made it by cutting that show in Final Cut Pro? Is it all about collaboration? Okay, first off, Avid has a stranglehold in Hollywood. And there's a good reason because they've built up that clientele base. There's things that Avid has that nobody else has, but a lot of that is hardware based. The server systems and all that with collaboration. It's not the NLE versus the NLE. It's not Avid the NLE versus Final Cut Pro the NLE. It's all this enormous infrastructure that they've built in Hollywood over the last 20 years, 30 years. That's a large part of it. I'm not a fan of Avid. I like DaVinci Resolve a lot more than I like Avid when it comes to that kind of track-based editing. And I like Final Cut Pro. So Final Cut Pro, I grabbed first. Avid for some projects, absolutely Resolve. And then LumaFusion on the iPad. I paid once, don't have to pay $5.99, $4.99 a month for the rest of my life. They did put a new superscript next to the new FX transition Final Cut for iPad. There you go. So iPad version is updated as well. It's got some an update as well. It doesn't have the full feature set of Final Cut on the Mac though. It doesn't have that. It just added iPad-ish things. Has Apple ever mentioned any other internal team using Final Cut Pro in the past, or is Fitness Plus the first ever? Well, the Final Cut Pro team themselves, when they do promotional videos, remember they did some promotional videos for Final Cut Pro last fall? That was done on Final Cut Pro. It better be. So the Final Cut Pro Apps team uses Final Cut. Fitness Plus is humongous. You should see the cameras and stuff that they have. I'm going to put up some of those videos between now and the Creative Summit. Phenomenal studio. State of the art. One of the biggest studios in the world. I think it's all robotic cameras. I don't mean just flying cameras. I mean cameras that are actually on robots that are on wheels. And it goes around, and the very high-end cameras and stuff. It's not shot on iPhone the way Tim Cook does the Apple presentations. These are high-end cameras, phenomenal cameras, a beautiful studio. Hundreds of people working on that project, all cut in Final Cut Pro. So when people say, oh, you can't do this in Final Cut Pro, yes, you can. Yes, you absolutely can. Can you do 100% of what Avid does in Final Cut Pro? No, but you can get into the 90% category. Like I said, Avid has a stranglehold. It's becoming less and less important as time goes on, and I'll tell you why. YouTube, social media influencers aren't using Avid. And they're getting millions and tens of millions and sometimes hundreds of millions of views on YouTube not using Avid. Nothing wrong with Avid. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying Avid is really the past. Okay? It really is the past. When that gets replaced, we'll have to see. I don't care if it's ever replaced. I don't really care. I rarely go to the movies. There's nothing in the movies I want to see right now. I tell you what, I want to see the new Daredevil series on Disney Plus. So I'll get that. They have a special right now, $2.99 for 4 months, a month for 4 months. So I'll get that special just because I like the Daredevil series. I've always liked that series, and so I'm really interested in the new one. Now, by the same token, I'm going to go see at some point, not yet, I'll resubscribe to Apple for a month and watch all the Severance episodes, the new season of Severance, because I really liked the first season, and I really don't care what it was edited on. I don't care that it was edited on Avid. When I watch something like that, I don't think, what was this edited on, and will that influence my ability to like it? No, not in the least bit. I never worry about what a program that I enjoy was edited on. If it happens to be Final Cut Pro, that's fine. If it happens to be Avid, I presume most Hollywood stuff is still done on Avid, but Hollywood is shrinking. Okay? YouTubers get a lot more views online than Hollywood does for the most part, for a lot of times. YouTubers are not using Avid. I know no YouTuber that's using Avid, social media influence. There's room for both. In 2025, there's room for both Avid and Hollywood and some of these big features. And there's plenty of room for Final Cut Pro, which YouTubers use all over the place. I wonder if the Apple Severance behind the scenes was cut on Final Cut Pro. That's a good question. That possibility exists, but that's not the series, obviously. When they put that out, It's all about them using Apple hardware, Mac Minis and an iMac and some MacBook Pros, and having, I think, all available somehow. It's connected to Avid's structures, servers and stuff, and you can access them from anywhere. That's all great. That's all great. But if you just compare NLE to NLE, Avid's old-fashioned and clunky, and Final Cut Pro is more modern, forward-looking than Avid is. I don't care what NLE you use. If I enjoy your show, I enjoy your show. I don't get into that, oh, my NLE is the best NLE of the world stuff. I just don't care. That doesn't interest me. I like Final Cut, and I like DaVinci Resolve, and I like LumaFusion. And I love Logic Pro. Absolutely love Logic Pro. So that's plenty. I don't need any more. If I was a youngster, right now, just getting into the field, my recommendation would be get the free version of DaVinci Resolve. It's free. Learn it. Learn it really well. Try the 90-day trial, 90 days, 3 months trial of Final Cut Pro. Try the trial. Or if you want to edit on an iPad, use the 30-day trial of Final Cut for iPad. But if you're going into the pro market, you really need the Mac version of Final Cut. You can't be going into Hollywood editing on an iPad only. That's not going to work. If you wanted to do Hollywood, I'm not saying you have to. Do you remember when Avid was saying this movie is great because it was edited using Music Composer? Yeah, but that doesn't, I don't care. I don't care what Avid says. I don't care. I have my own opinion about things, and I will continue to have my own opinion about things. Avid's fine. If you're an Avid editor, that's fantastic. Avid's like a tank. Okay? To use a car analogy, metaphor, Avid is like a tank. Big, strong, powerful. Final Cut Pro is like a sports car, fast and zippy. And then DaVinci Resolve is like a pickup truck. It's got all kinds of, you can put a ladder on there, you can put this on there, you can put that on there. So DaVinci Resolve is like a pickup truck, a work truck with a bunch of things added in. Final Cut Pro is zippy like a sports car, and Avid's like this giant old tank. Pick the car that you want for your job. Could I learn to edit on an Avid? I edited on an Avid when I started at the National Archives a long time ago because they had Avid. And I was post supervisor down there, their lead editor for 8.5 years. And I learned Avid at that point. But I started editing on Final Cut. This was Final Cut Classic 7.0.3 and a Power Mac. And I started editing on that, and soon I just got rid of the Avid and just edited on Final Cut. Could I learn to edit on Avid? Sure, if I wanted to. I don't have any motivation to do that. I'm not going to be working in Hollywood. And I have my own film out. It's been showing locally in the Washington, Baltimore area. I cut it on Final Cut. It's 2 hours and 40-some minutes, including an intermission. We stuck an intermission in there as well. I cut it on Final Cut. I'm not going to go to Avid just because I'm doing a movie in the theater. Speaking of Hollywood, Apple's TV's new show, The Studio, is amazing. Well, that's good to know. I'd never heard of that one. I'm going, I pick my streaming things a la carte nowadays. So pick up Netflix for a couple of months, drop it. Pick up Apple TV once they have enough shows that makes it worthwhile for 1 month, then drop it. I always have Amazon Prime because that's included in whatever. We get that included. And we have AT&T cell service, and they include something free streaming because we have the cell service. So I forget what it is. I forget what it is. Like I said, I'll be getting Disney Plus for 1 month. I won't get it longer than that so I can see the Daredevil series, the new Daredevil series, and whatever else comes up during that month or so. And what else do we have? A couple of other ones, but I just get it 1 month at a time. I wait for all the Severance to be out. I wait for all of Slow Horses to come out at once so I can watch them all at once, etc. There's a couple of other things on Apple that I want to see, but I haven't caught up to. So we'll see. We will see. I'm excited. I just got back home. I was out doing some things, and I got back home and I saw 11.1. What? Well, I said, wait a minute, it's Thursday. That's the most popular day to do a Final Cut Pro update. And I said, it's before NAB, which we've been talking about for months, that Apple would possibly do a feature update prior to NAB, just to give it a little more oomph during NAB. It's exactly what they did. I just didn't see them calling it 11.1. I would have bet against that. If somebody said, well, what if it's 11.1? I said, nah. Logic Pro 11.0, 11.1 took 1 year from one Creative Summit to the next, so I figured that was going to be the same. But Tim Cook told us, Tim said 11.2 at the Creative Summit. So that's what we got, 11.2. All right, so there's the, let's go back to here. And we'll see some of the videos that are out right now. So there's the Ripple training guys. There's what you're watching right now, Final Cut TV Live. Surprise! Surprise! 11.1. And then there's Dylan Bates, 11.1. What is this? Oh, here we go. This is from the Creative Summit that we talked about it from last year. Michael Cioni, Jeff Greenberg.
Is this with the Apple, like, which app is this? Capture app. Very cool. Yep. Well, keep getting some good content then.
Yeah, I'm just filming now.
Yeah, awesome. All right.
Chris Hawking. There's our friend Luke and his son. There's Chris Fenwick. I said hi to him while he was there. He didn't stay, he was there for a couple of hours. Steve Bays. There is our friends Greg and Philip. They were demonstrating their new plugin. Anyway, that's what it looked like at the Creative Summit last year, and I expect it'll be even just as good, if not better, this year. Do you think Hollywood put roadblocks with Avid Media Composer to push away Final Cut Pro because it would start a revolution there? No, Avid's had a stranglehold on Hollywood for a long time. They've been in there. They have the they have the hardware. They have server rooms and stuff. You can't just bring an NLE and it go on top of all the Avid infrastructure. It has to be Avid. So Avid's fine for Hollywood. It's fine for Hollywood, but I don't know if Hollywood's the future. I think you'll see that Hollywood's doing the TV shows. So in that case, yes, they are. They are. So very, very cool Final Cut Pro team. Thank you, because they watch this show. They watch it religiously. Absolutely. Thank you to all for giving us 11.1 before NAB. Creates buzz at NAB. Go watch the Ripple training video. Go watch Dylan Bates, the Final Cut Pro video, to see all the features in action. I just wanted to come on and give all of the listeners a chance to make their comments and say anything they wanted to say about Final Cut Pro. Don't forget to like and subscribe. My YouTube channel, youtube.com @RichardTaylorTV. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. I've made hundreds of dollars, almost maybe 1,000 or so on YouTube with these live streams. We're approaching 700,000 views on YouTube. And I've got more than that on Facebook, but Facebook doesn't offer a count. And I've got more on X. Once again, X doesn't offer a total count. They offer individual counts. And so I've got well over 1 million views between YouTube, Facebook, and X Live. So it's pretty cool, but I get I've monetized myself on YouTube and Facebook. YouTube, not Facebook. YouTube's plenty. That's where I'll spend most of my time. Now we'll be back again on Saturday, probably 10 o'clock. I'm thinking maybe between 10 and 12. We'll be back on Saturday, Final Cut TV and coffee. But once again, I want to say congratulations to the Final Cut Pro team, giving us 11.1 before NAB. It's excellent. Go watch Ripple Training's video. Go watch Dylan Bates' video. There'll probably be a dozen more of those videos up in the next couple hours or by tomorrow or whatever. But I'm going to get out of here and go get something to eat. It's dinner. It's past dinner time for me. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you on Saturday. We'll talk more. A nice little surprise before NAB, which we've been talking about for months. We've been talking about a feature update in time for NAB for months. Here it is. I could use some eats too. Absolutely. It's past, usually I eat about 3 o'clock, so it's 4:15. So I came on for you. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Make a backup copy of Final Cut Pro 11.0, 11.0.1 before you update to Final Cut Pro 11.1. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If I don't see you before that, I'll see you on Saturday morning. Take care.